Oh, I need to practice my speaking. I'm going to try to find a speaking partner on the RealLife English app.
Hi, I'm Andrea. Where are you speaking from?
I come from, Well, it's Friday night and I have no plans. You know what? I'm gonna find someone to have a nice chat with. Hey, what's up? I'm Ethan from Barcelona. Where are you speaking from?
Oh, what a small world. I'm Andrea and I'm also in Barcelona.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so I want to know, what do you usually do on Friday night?
I really like hanging out with my friends, but tonight...
Hey there, real lifers. As you might have noticed, confidence can totally impact your capacity to communicate clearly. If you are constantly avoiding having conversations and connecting with the world out of fear and insecurity, this lesson was created especially for you. As a language learner myself, I've experienced various moments of insecurity and even considered quitting learning a new language. But my purpose of connecting with my friends was stronger than my fears and insecurities. So as someone who has been there before, here I am to share some valuable insights with you. In this lesson, we are going to reflect on language as a means for communication, what confidence is and how it impacts your fluency and clarity in the language, what accent is and if it really matters, and finally, how to improve your confidence. So if you want to become more confident and connect to the world through English, just like Trushti, who says they literally improved their English within 3 months of watching our channel and now can speak more confidently, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell down below so that you don't miss any of our new lessons. So let's start with something that is fundamental to every language learner. Language is communication. Fun fact, the root of the word communication in Latin is communicare, which means to share or to make common. In order to communicate effectively, you need to be what we call communicatively competent. You might be wondering though, what makes someone a competent communicator? According to Jack C. Richards, communicative competence includes the following aspects of language knowledge: knowing how to use language for a range of different purposes and functions, knowing how to vary our use of language according to the setting and the participants, for example, knowing when to use formal and informal speech or when to use language appropriately for written as opposed to spoken communication, knowing how to produce and understand different types of texts, for example, narratives, reports, interviews, conversations, knowing how to maintain communication despite having limitations in one's language knowledge, for example, through using different kinds of communication strategies. And last but not least, let's understand communication as the relationship that involves interaction between participants. It is in interacting with others that confidence plays a fundamental role. That's why our main goal at RealLife English is to empower you to actually use language in order to communicate, rather than merely repeat what you are told to in your classroom or even in your textbook. This is why we created the RealLife English app to allow you to practice English at the touch of a button. You can connect with other learners from around the world for short conversations and build up your confidence when speaking English. The best part is it's free and you can download it right now in the Google Play or Apple App Stores. I'll also add a link up here and one in the description below. With that being said, let's reflect on how confidence can determine whether you are going to be a successful language learner or not, and talk a little bit about clarity, fluency, and accent. What is confidence? First of all, it is fundamental not to confuse confidence with arrogance. I really like how Scott Birkin defined these. An arrogant person only feels smart if someone else feels stupid. Their sense of themselves depends on thinking less of someone else. They insist on correcting other people's grammar or showing them their flaws, as it's the only way they can feel an approximation of confidence. Arrogance is about intent. It's when ability or perceived ability is used to look down on others. On the flip side, a confident person feels competent from the inside out. They use their talents to genuinely try to be of use or to succeed at the task at hand. They might seek external validation, but they don't depend on it to define their sense of ability or nature. Now, let's talk about the opposite of confidence, which is fear and insecurity. Fear and insecurity are the number one enemies to anyone trying to develop a new skill. When it comes to language learning, people tend to be afraid of judgment and making mistakes when communicating with others. Let's hear some insightful comments that Hadar made on this topic.
Positive thoughts generate positive feelings, and positive feelings lead to take action. It's easier to take action when you feel better than when you feel depressed or insecure. So when you're insecure and you allow those thoughts to consume you, you are less likely to take real action that will actually change the results in your life. So when you're positive, you actually take action and you dare more.
With this difference in mind, why is confidence important at last, and how does that relate to your fluency? Let's consider what Shannon said about fluency in episode 7 of our talk show.
I typically aim for conversational fluency in a lot of my languages because that's a lot of what I want to be able to do, is have conversations, sometimes about specific things, sometimes just generally. But there's really just not one definition of fluent. So for me, if I can be understood and understand, that would be my definition of fluency. But
Thus, based on what Shannon said, fluency is largely associated with being understood and understanding someone during a conversation. And in order to do so, clarity is a fundamental aspect of fluency because, according to Richard Nordquist, clarity is a characteristic of speech that communicates effectively with its intended audience, also called perspicuity. With that in mind, the more confident you feel about yourself, the better and more clearly you are able to communicate, as shown in this graph. However, there is one important thing to point out regarding confidence. It's just that your confidence level should be balanced, because if it's too low, you might not take initiative in starting and keeping conversations going. Otherwise, when you are excessively confident, you may sound cocky and discourage your speaking partner from holding and maintaining a conversation with you. You also might be wondering, what about accents? Does it really matter? First off, let's explore in more detail what accent is. Accent can be defined as a particular way of speaking which tells the listener something about the speaker's background. A person's pronunciation may show the region or country they come from, for example, a northern accent or an American accent, what social class they belong to, for example, a lower middle class accent, whether or not the speaker is a native speaker of the language, for example, she speaks English with an accent or with a German accent. It is fascinating to see that accent is actually connected to the person's background. Based on that, we can assume that there are as many accents as there are speakers of a language, since each individual has their unique background. Let's listen to Emma's constructive consideration on accents.
Even the idea of just obsessing over or focusing on a particular accent locks you in, to a certain way of life, a certain experience, a certain limited or finite set of opportunities, where by exposing yourself to a much richer or diverse range of accents and English speakers, your opportunity to interact, engage with, connect with people, all around the world is so much greater than by restricting yourself to just one, prioritizing one.
So, accent shouldn't get in the way of your interactions. As long as you have clarity in your speech, the sky's the limit considering the number of English speakers you can connect with around the world. Now, before we talk about how you can improve your confidence and become a better speaker, let's hear from Max, who's a member of the Real Life team and passionate about the English language. So, Max, what role does confidence play on your English language learning journey?
Yes, I think that confidence is very important when speaking another language. Just the act of using your mouth to create all these crazy new sounds that sound nothing like the ones you've used your whole life, that takes a lot of courage, in my opinion. And maybe you can look at it as a spectrum, right? Where on one end you have fear, and on the other end you have confidence. If you're constantly operating around here in a state of fear, that's obviously going to limit you. But if maybe it's not so much about taking this huge leap all across the spectrum and all of a sudden being this super confident person. Maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's just about getting enough distance away from this state of fear so that you can actually be yourself, enjoy the moment, and be present in that English-speaking situation. And another idea is that even though grammar and accuracy are important, they can also be dangerous if you let them paralyze you. But if you feel comfortable speaking in English despite making mistakes, that's going to allow you to have more and better conversations in English than if you are in this constant state of fear and if you're scared. And this is another path to becoming a better English speaker, just because you're going to have more conversations in English, more opportunities to speak, and this obviously is going to develop your skills as an English speaker a lot further, right?
Thanks a lot for your inspiring comments, Max. As Max already gave you some tips on how to improve your confidence, let's expand on that a little bit more and talk about how you can improve your confidence. Tip number 1, language exposure. As we say at Real Life English, don't just learn it, live it. To live your English means to do some of the things that you do on a daily basis in English. For example, if you like listening to music, you might turn this into an opportunity to get involved with the language by singing along and even talking about your favorite songs with your friends. Exposing yourself to the language in various ways is crucial to improving your confidence. Your brain gets accustomed to the language and it helps to reduce the discomfort that comes naturally when you have to use English in real life. And our tip number 2 is speak to yourself. Pay attention to what I said in episode 247 of the Real Life English podcast.
Also, I often get asked a lot in the Instagram live that I do every week about like the app and how people are saying, oh, I'm nervous to go on it because I'm nervous to speak and what can I do and things like this. So this is a great way to prepare yourself to help to build your confidence, to practice having those conversations on your own or recording yourself, to then prepare and just bite the bullet and go for it, and you start using the app and speaking to people.
Tip number 3, focus on connection. Another core value that we have at Real Life English is connection over perfection. When you are too concerned about sounding perfect when communicating in a foreign language, you forget about the essentials. That is, language is mainly used to establish connections with others. In order to do so, clarity is way more important than sounding perfect. Let's listen to Emma and Lindsay's insightful thoughts and tips about language and connection.
And I think that the more that we genuinely and deeply connect with each other, and obviously language is the most powerful way of doing that, we get to reimagine or re-experience the world on our own terms, and often that's quite eye-opening.
So the connection, not perfection, the way I connect to that is I never want our learners to feel that, right? I never want language to get in the way of human connection. That's what that's all about. It should always be the number one goal, is to maintain the connection. So if you make a mistake, don't drop your eye contact. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't move away. Look at the person in the eye and keep the connection going. It's up to you at that moment whether you lose the connection or you keep it. right? So we have a lot more control than we think we do.
Tip number 4, take action. And for our last tip, let's compare learning a language to learning how to swim. If you only read about it, you will never actually feel confident when you jump into the swimming pool. So you can only master a skill if you actually focus on the practical aspects of it and not on what is said about it. So start, then learn. Don't learn, then start. With this action taker mindset, your confidence growth is directly proportional to your attitude of putting things into practice. In other words, you gain confidence by doing things consistently. As a final consideration, remember we are all human and it is okay not to be confident all the time. From time to time, we have to put ourselves out there, and there are moments that we are going to feel nervous and insecure, but we do it anyway, and this is how we grow. I hope this video has helped you to boost your confidence. After watching it, I highly recommend that you start practicing right away. So check out this video packed with precious tips on how you can improve your speaking, even if you have nobody to speak with at the moment.
However, I know for a lot of you that for various reasons you are unable to travel to an English-speaking country. So you might be a little frustrated that you can't practice your speaking. That's exactly why in today's lesson I've got some tips so that you can practice your speaking at home alone. Yeah, that's right, at home alone. It sounds impossible, but believe me, it's not. I use these tips so I don't forget my Spanish while living here in Brazil.